Good morning. It's a little cool and breezy this morning. I'm going to do a quick little video on some garden art ideas. Some are quite traditional, like this little wind spinner. You see, got this a couple years ago at Costco. And then, to me, bird houses, bird feeders, like you can see across the yard. To me, those can be decorative and you can get creative. I've strapped a few little branches on my bird feeders to give the birds a little more stable, natural place to roost when they come in. Of course, I use a lot of glazed pots around. It's a good idea, I think. If you get the heavy-duty frost-proof, you can just add a little spark of interest, kind of sprinkled through the garden. Here's a little concrete owl I found Trey and I took a trip to Florida a couple years ago, and he really likes owls, and this little he's getting a little buried. Some stuff has come up and kind of hiding him at the moment, but it's kind of a nice little treat to find here and there. And here is more traditional bird bath my mom bought me for my 30th birthday. That's been a few years ago. Rocks, I really like rocks, so you can find stones. I have a friend that has a farm, and she let me come up and collect a few stones. This is a bird bath I made back in late fall, winter. It's just put a heavy sheet of plastic down, get one of those Cinderella pumpkins. Mine wasn't as Cinderella as my friend who made these, but you can see it kind of makes the bowl a little scalloped. So this was an experiment. I used concrete mix. There's a little bit of a gravelly texture, but you just mix up your concrete, get mortar mix that's cement and sand does the best, and then just pour it out in a blob and push your pumpkin into it, not too far down because you can bottom it out and then your bowl will be shallow. But another idea. More traditional piece, a piece of concrete statuary you can find different places. You see that little heart I placed on the Buddha. I like to look for stones in the creek that shape like a heart. I found that one the day our cat Miss Momo passed, and I had taken a walk over in Bent Creek Forest, and there it was, and that kind of helped me that day. Anyway, I'll put it with Buddha, and makes me think of her. We had her 18 years. Here's a traditional piece I got this year for my birthday. You can see it. Two little owls, moves in the winter, teeter-totters, spins around. You can look for these online, look for kinetic wind mobiles or yard art, that kind of thing. Like I said, I like rocks and old stumps. I saved that stump I took an old tree down behind my mom's and put that in place. And of course there's the classic wind chimes and mobiles and things like that. Here's a wind spinner train I got. It's a copper. We got that at Biltmore for our 25th anniversary. We went up there. Another piece of traditional garden art. This is a cat I got for my birthday a couple years ago. See, I found a few more little heart stones and a couple little stone owls for Trey. This stone here on the back came from my grandfather's property. He had a small farm, and I saved that probably in the early 80s. This is a dragonfly I got for my birthday this year. I stuck it on the wall here by the pond. You can hear that in the background. And Here along the pond, I'm using the heavy glazed pots. Keep from looking like Trailer Park Barbie. I kind of stuck with a theme here for once. I'm known to just go crazy with every color, and anyway, I have developed over the years a technique of, if you cluster things together, it kind of looks a little better than, if you're from the South, you're probably familiar with what's called tin can gardening. The little ladies who have saved rusty coffee cans stuck out on their porch railing, and every little pass-along plant their friends have given them over the years, and take an old coffee can and take the old kind of can opener, my dad used to call a church key, and then punch that little triangular hole in the bottom, and there you go, you got a pot. Here's another idea, just kind of cluster a few small plants in a pot, and I put this little rusted cardinal in here too, little garden stake. There's another birthday present. It's a little copper bee on a garden stake. Got this year for my birthday. Of course, trellises are always a good idea. They come in a lot of different shapes. This one kind of has three sides to it and supports itself, has a little bird on top. This came from Tuesday Morning a few years ago when Trey was manager there. Here's another trellis idea a friend of mine gave me a couple of years ago, just because. And then here's a couple more little wind spinners. One was a Christmas present, and one was another birthday present from my mother-in-law probably 5 or 6 years ago. I use this pot with this rug juniper that I've bonsai'd. It's right here at the corner of the porch, and their water spigot is there in the back. Of course, Stinky Bob's coming up here this spring, but I use the corner of that pot kind of as a hose guide when I'm pulling the water hose out. And plus, it looks nice here year round. You get that evergreen. Stays nice. It's a focal point in the wintertime. Good heavy glazed pot. More traditional concrete. A little Buddha here. I think he and this little tea house lantern, I think those came from a trip Trey took me for my 40th birthday to Savannah, Georgia. I think that's where those guys came from. Like I said, I like stumps and wood. This is a branch off of a piece of shrubbery I took out. It's actually a Japanese purus, and I thought, well, it's got nice form. I'll keep that, and just found a place for it to sit. Here's another idea I came up with. I just found a couple of old tree knots. This one's kind of interesting, had some moss on it. So I went to Lowe's and got just some metal rods, and of course they'll move when the wind hits them, especially like yesterday when the wind was blowing. But just gives a little interest. Another twisted stick. Here's a stump I found at a friend's house. There's a creek on her farm property, and so we walked down to the creek and just had washed out. And I asked her if I could take it home. She said, sure. So here it is in my garden. Here's another traditional piece. These garden orbs have been popular for 20 years now. Got that black urn with my friend Karen. There used to be a great place, Metrolina Flea Market. And gosh, that's been 20 years ago. I used to have a really pretty kind of a turquoisey deep emerald ball, but someone pinched it when we lived in Asheville, so I found this one to replace it. I told you I like stones in the garden. We have a really nice stone place called Natural Stone here in Winston. So I got these really large stones a while back. Some more stones I got from my friend Sarah, where I got the driftwood from her creek. I placed these here on the curb. Occasionally mail truck or somebody cuts through and they were squashing some plants here on the corner. So I'm pretty careful. I try to keep most things set back about 2 feet here, but some things have a mind of their own, as you can see. But just a nice little bumper. Gives guys, something they can see out the window. Keep from running over everything in the yard. Here's another, I just found 3 old sticks. Had a little character and stuck them in the ground. Sorry about that loud truck going by. Here's a little hummingbird piece of metal art. I just put a wood screw into it. Another rock. Yep. Some more sticks. Here's a mixed bag, couple sticks, and then another one of these really interesting knots. I just like. It's up on one of these metal posts and kind of moves in the wind. There's another one of the bird baths I made when I was telling you not to stick pumpkin too far down into the mortar mix. I had to get some repair, so just be careful. Another traditional piece. This is a model off of the terracotta soldiers that were found in China. Those kind of stories always fascinate me. Of course, I like Asian influence in the garden as well, but there were 120,000 life-size terracotta soldiers that were buried with the emperor, complete with life-size terracotta horses. It's an interesting story. You can Google and look it up. You can also see I've found another really large pot I'm gonna fill here soon in the new little section I'm working on. These things don't have to be super elaborate. I think these little glass spheres, which they're not, that red one might be the size of a baseball. I think maybe those came from Tuesday morning. I found this piece of quartz at my friend Sarah's and tucked on the corner of the dry creek bed. So just little things here and there to add a little interest. Again, I saved this piece of stump from somebody's yard. Anyway, I've been a pack rat for a long time. Here's a really beautiful piece of flat quartz I found at my friend Sarah's. That's a good sized piece. I don't have big hands, but it gives you an idea. Such a pretty stone, and this little pocket, it'll hold water when it rains. It's another little simple piece of wood stump I rescued out of the gardens, or out of the woods to put in the garden. Here's 3 more twin pieces I stuck on these little metal rods from Lowe's, and found some interesting knots in the woods. This one has some really neat patterning on it. It's a piece of oak. It's a burl piece. And back here where we started, I really love these 2 pieces. I found Trina went on a trip a couple years ago, took a hike, and I found these in the woods and had permission to take them. And I took 2 old juice bottles and cut the top off, and then used one of those pre-mixed Sakrete mixes to put a mailbox post in the ground. And so I put those in that plastic, hoping that would slow down the decay over the time. But birds really love landing on these, and they got some really neat character when you look up close. This one kind of looks like a dragon head or something to me. But there you go. Simple, complex, store-bought, found. You just use your imagination and enjoy. Take care.